our house was built originally about 100 years ago, and the old Japanese style, built in the 20s. And I every now and then I wondered why there's no street in front of it. That's the path that people walk up. Uh, People walk through this path, quite one of the nice paths in the neighborhood, and it goes down this way, and then over on this side, they're actually tore a house down next door. That was, like I was saying, the house is 100 years old, and Japanese are tearing these houses down all over Japan. And so we got an idea. Why don't we restore one? And we found an architect whose mission in life is to restore these, and he's done pretty unbelievable job. I mean, literally unbelievable. So this is the other entrance. You walk in down this alley, and there's some beautiful, beautiful Japanese homes, 100 and 200-year-old homes all along where we're living here. And then I realized it was built in the mid 20s when cars weren't such a big deal, right? 1925 wasn't like needed to race down to the grocery store with your car. So that was one of the reasons. A traditional roof, tile roof. I don't know. The tiles were there, but it looks to me like they put new ones on there. I don't care. I don't know. They kept everything original that was reasonable, and then did a lot of new work where it wasn't. Uh, we're actually surrounded on two sides by a very large vegetable garden, and which is not uncommon here in this neighborhood. We're in a neighborhood right up against the mountains on the northeastern side of Kyoto, and in literally 4 minutes on my bicycle, I can be down on the busy street where there's grocery stores and things like that. When I say grocery stores, actually, it's an old neighborhood, so it's one of those mixed, what my architect's friend calls mixed use community. You'll have a tofu ya, which is a place that makes tofu, which is like no tofu you've ever eaten. It's unbelievable. It's like ricotta cheese. And then next door, it's a bookstore. Next door to it's a little tiny opening, and you realize it's an apartment house. And the next door is a guy who sells, a matcha and good thing. And then next door to that is a restaurant. And then there's another apartment. A similar structure to this was here, and a Japanese bought it and tore it down and is building more modern house. And actually put a lot of cement. I just walked by another place that had an old farmhouse. I think Bridget said it was 100 and over 100-year-old farmhouse, and had a garden next to it, which was traditional. And now there's four like apartment houses that were built. You know, but on the other hand, it's interesting that we say that. Kyoto reached its maximum population 350 years ago, and it's been declining ever since. This is not a place that's busting at the seams and growing, unlike what it looks like here. Um, yeah, and this particular neighborhood has been declining in population since the 50s. So I believe Japan itself is declining in population, but certainly Kyoto is just getting quieter and quieter, and there's no industry. So the skies are clear as can be. And let's go in the house. Here. So this is the front entry. Um, this was the blessing from the priest, Shinto priest, when we started construction. Hachidai Jinja. So Jinja means Shinto shrine. And antique doors. These doors were here. I think the glass was replaced to get that beautiful. You really have to tell me if you can see the pattern of the.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, you can.
That antique there. Okay, pretty much original stuff. This is the entryway or the Genkan. Still wearing my Japanese slippers. And the minute you come in, you can see there were low ceilings like this in all of the house. That's a Japanese house. It's closed to the outside, and low ceilings. So it's very small and confined. And when we took the ceilings out, we left it so you can see all the cool stuff up above. And so this is just the entryway. And well, before I get too far into the house here, one of the things about this house is there's very, very few nails, but there's no paint. There's no glue. The house doesn't smell like anything but wood and earth. The walls are earth. They're This is part of the texture of the wall just in the entryway. Can you see the texture, Jill?
Yes.
So there was a master plasterer who came in here who looked like he'd been working with plaster for 60 years. And he just set up and went slowly about it day after day to um, preserve the surface that was there and touch it up and put another coat on it after 100 years. So coming through in the entry and Japanese style, leaving my slippers there so that I come into the first kind of entry room. Um, there will be a bed in that room. Sorry for going too fast. I forget that I've got a camera in my hand. There's going to be a bed in that room that I just showed you. But when I'm here, I sleep on the futon on the floor, and then Japanese style, I fold it up and put it in the closet in the daytime. So that's why the floors are quite open and empty. And then this being I've been performing. One of the reasons I come to Japan is to perform and to practice dance. And a portrait artist took pictures of me and gave them to me. So I just stuck them out so they're not in the closet and getting moldy. I'm going to turn on the lights here. And Jeff has a very creative sense of lighting. So I'm going to turn on the lights in this room and see how it does it. Wrong light. There. Do you see how these are LEDs that he put, so that they shine upward and they illuminate the room, but it's almost like a sunset in a way, but it just makes the beams pop. It's just gorgeous. So, yeah. And the Fusuma are the sliding doors. Well, let me mention real quickly, throughout the whole house, the ceilings are covered with what's called washi, which is a handmade Japanese paper, which apparently is traditional in old houses. But most of my Japanese friends, when they come, they're kind of astounded because they haven't seen it in decades. It's like, oh, got washi up there. That's the way, I grew up. So a lot of comments like, oh, that's like when I grew up. And so you can, the texture, I think there's a peach blossom texture on the paper, which we chose the paper and then they built the Fusuma doors to ceilings. And actually, this is not the original ceiling. This ceiling is from another 100-year-old house that Jeff saw when he was bicycling by. And he said, those are really nice. And he took the crew over, took them out of the other house. I think it took a whole day to take them out and then brought them over here.
They were demolishing the other house and they were just going to get rid of the,
throw it away.
Yeah.
Another one of these beautiful glasses that just glows. So now we go into the Western, what we continue to call the Western side. This won't be here. I'm a squatter when Jill's not here, so I squatted and put my office there.
He squats when he's here too, so there's that.
There's that. Yeah, but it's I'm mean wherever I go. I've kind of noticed. Anyway,
and the West.
So, Jill, so when the ceilings came out here, we saw the structure of the walls being exposed. That's the lath with the earthen walls inside. And we said, that's beautiful up there. Can we keep that? And he said, yeah. So that's what all the walls were like before they had a surface plaster put over them. So we kept that in a number of places in the house. And that was just the bamboo lath that was running by above the ceiling, and we kept that too. And then there's that's the earthen wall that doesn't quite show any bamboo lath in it. This particular, and this is just was set up because there were a lot of people going by. This is the small outdoor garden where everything is open under the garden. This is the only stuff. That's the bed in boxes. And this is outdoors, indoors, outdoors. That's the toilet, which traditionally in a Japanese home is separate from the house. So we have we don't have the traditional toilet in the floor. We have a real sit-down toilet, but and this is some of the whole house has joinery. Most of it, I'd say 90% of it, you don't see, but that's one that they did put in. These roofs were put in, these little extended roofs were put in so that you could sit out here in the rain on the ginkan. So it's a ginkgon that surrounds the house. And I often sit out here, came out here sometime when the full moon was out and just sat out here. The outdoor lights are all antiques that came from temples and other places. Um, each one chosen individually for the spot that they're in. The guy's a consummate artist, if you're not getting that idea yet. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to go back the other way. So that Fusuma door, first, these colors would not be traditional in a Japanese home. Japanese homes are pretty subdued. One might say boring, but anyway, subdued is what I prefer. And the door, the head carpenter said, you don't want to put black paper on a Fusuma. And Jeff says, yes, I do. And of course, it's gorgeous. And again, it's a handmade black paper that's on this sliding door.
Yeah,
Pretty constant throughout the whole 14 months of construction. Jeff said from the outset, although he made complete drawings, he made a price estimate and said, we're going to stick with this price estimate. And he said, but it's also going to be organic. When we discover things, we're going to go with it. And that happened. It's still happening. It'll happen today, and I fly out tomorrow. Anyway, um, the I don't know if we've got a good view of the beams up there. How does the beams showing? Can you see the beams fairly well?
yeah, you can see them. Might get a little, maybe
Anyway,
from both sides of the room.
the
But
underneath the ceilings, a Japanese house of this vintage is supported by what is essentially a log. There's one on both sides. You'll see the one on the other side, and it's incredible, just incredible. I'm well, anyway, won't use the word incredible more than 100 times more. And so now we go into, this is where I get to talk, right? We go into the more Japanese style, would you say, Joe?
yes.
Anyway, this is the Japanese, more Japanese side, looking out in this direction. Another feature Jeff said is not traditional Japanese house is it being light. Those doors would probably be solid rather than double pane glass. There wouldn't be skylights, and he has those are basically glass tiles that are roofing tiles with their glass, and unbelievable light coming in into this room. This is a 6 tatami room, and that's a 2 tatami room. Houses are sized by tatamis. There's again the lath work exposed up there, and maybe the beams are a little bit easier to see in this one. Anyway,
Can I add one?
one of the most interesting views. That's actually over into the kitchen, but it's open up there. And he found up above when he pulled the roof off, there was an opening out there, which he's now put in double pane glass. So that's light coming in that actually bounces off a white wall and then reflects down into the kitchen. And it is the place where the sun comes in the evening. So, because that's the western end of the house. And it's just extraordinary. It really is extraordinary. I'm going to turn around and give you the view toward the other way. These are both, this is a tokonoma, hanging tokonoma in a Japanese house and in a tea room and in other places like that. They have what's called a tokonoma, which is a place which you put flowers and you put, maybe pictures of your ancestors and things like that. So they would be hung here because it's a small house. They have what they call a hanging tokonoma. And over here we have a old houses have shrines in them to the family and to things. And this is an Inari Jinja shrine. The Inari are essentially fox spirits that help. Let's just put it that way. They help. The fox spirits help. So this shrine came to us and I don't know, wanted to help. Okay, so now we're going into the house tea room area. We accepted its help. And this is another place where Jeff put some great indirect lighting. Look at the way that pops out. The ceiling pops out when you turn the light on there. And back there, the beams, it just really brings the beams out with that indirect lighting. And then the house kind of glows at night. It's not like a little extreme, but it's not like being in a hospital where everything's bright lights and white. And these walls were more traditional, kind of the color they were originally, and they're the original walls, and they're very thick. And all of these are the old posts. They have a lot of screw holes in them and scratches and all sorts of things that we valued. And we said, you don't replace any of the old posts. No need to. Where you have to put new ones, yeah, that's great, but keep the old ones where you have to. And then since I've been practicing tea ceremony and enjoy that actually many times a day, they built a tea ceremony room for us. And it's a 2-mat tea ceremony room, which is almost the smallest they ever make. Another antique light picked for its place, and the other place where the ceiling was kept, because tea rooms tend to be that way. And always next to a tea room, a traditional tea room, is what's called the mizuya, which is the place where you keep your utensils. And that's a bamboo slat drain in the floor, and underneath that is hand-done copper work for the drain. So the carpenters who worked here were actually tea house carpenters, I found out, and that's what they traditionally work on. So they worked on this house for 14 months pretty continuously, and this light was picked. I mean, these knobs that were put in the doors, I don't know if Jill was online for that, but we spent an hour going through looking at different possibilities for different size and shaped knobs. When he worked on a place in Tokyo with a architect, which he first worked with, he said sometimes they would pick knobs that cost $400 or $500 for a single knob. That's not our house, but anyway, that's the level of detail. And I don't know if you can see the pattern here. It's a rather very subtle but elegant pattern on the paper for the tea room. He said, tea room's got to be special, man. So these are like little butterflies or something. And every different kind of light makes them look different. In the evening, they look like they're glowing. In the daytime, sometimes they disappear. So that's the Fusuma doors into that. And I don't think Jill's even seen the new doors they put inside over on the other side. These he found, these antique old bamboo doors he found. Look at the doors they put on there, Jill.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Okay, we're getting close here. Getting close now. We go into the kitchen and again praising Jeff for his incredible creativity and his connections with craftsmen. Japan has two places that are traditionally famous for tatami. There's Tokyo tatami and Kyoto tatami. And of the two, Kyoto tatami tend to be the um, fancier ones, the more traditional ones. And Jeff Jeff wanted a certain kind of tatami in a certain way, and there's only one tatami maker in all of Kyoto that was willing to hand make the tatamis to his specifications. Now, I'll tell you why. In a traditional Japanese house, it's cold in the winter. Yeah, he insulates the ceiling in a way that's not insulated in a traditional house. So the roof tiles came off, and underneath the washi and between that and the roof tiles, he's got some kind of space age insulation. He said that where you the equivalent of like 6 inches in America, he's got an inch. So, and he put a couple of those. So it's super insulated, double pane glass here, and you set the thermostat, which is also radiant heating and radiant cooling. So whatever temperature you set the thermostat at, the house stays. The reason I kicked off from the tatami, he asked the tatami maker to make them 3/4 or half the thickness of a traditional tatami, so that the heating and cooling can come through the tatami. Otherwise, it would be, yeah. And I'll show you and where the wood is. And he did this at his luxury hotel, so he knows it works. And he started doing it 20 years ago. Can you see the slot in the floor there?
Yes.
That's where heating and cooling comes up in the wooden rooms. Oh, now that we've come over here, I forgot to show you the ofuro.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So this was the old
Important
door.
stuff.
This was the old door that came in. Like we said, we kept most of the old doors that we possibly could. And this is not, I've been told this is not a traditional Japanese bathroom. Some of my Japanese friends come and say, wow, that looks very European. Like, whatever, it's comfortable, man. I like it. Uh, but one of Jeff's things that he's done at his more luxurious places is he's put stones in as drains. So these are stones, and the shower and the overflow to the tub drains through these natural stones. Just gives a lovely little feeling. And I've never had such a good shower. We're going to be a little bit spoiled when I get back and have to replace our shower at home. Um, and then
Finally.
finally sitting. This is the view sitting in the tub, the soaking. Great.
Hey,
So
the other thing I was appreciating was in the here I can do my video too. Um, the corner there's no post over the window. It's cantilevered. Like, so if you go back there, in most buildings, like where the two corners of the window meet, there'd be a post right there, but they've cantilevered it out so that you have a nice view, which is extra work and is really nice. It's super cool.
What a great observation. Thank you.
and I was here when the carpenter was doing this. This is all hand joinery. I don't know if Nate is still there or not, but underneath all of this, none of this stuff is nailed. This is all joinery, all done with
I'm
chisel.
here. Yeah.
And this was the original. And then they made it a little bit bigger by adding this. You see the newer wood over here?
Yeah.
Maybe you can see as I'm moving around how, I don't know, to me, each view is kind of pleasing and pleasant. And maybe that has to do with modular design. Maybe it has to do with the fact that everything has a kind of a structural integrity and a reason, or maybe it's just pretty, or maybe I'm just romantic, or maybe a little of each. You can see this room is a little more, what you might call subdued, but a friend of mine and I sat in this room the other day and it changes with the doors open and doors closed. I'll open the doors in a second. So, you can close off spaces and open up spaces. So, when this is open out to the other ginkan, this is the kitchen entry. We come into the kitchen, and I'll show you that later. Or you might even open up the chashitsu door, and then you open up this door, and it just feels different. You get a different feeling. Although it's kind of a different room. Entry, the kitchen entry, and again, the plaster craftsman also did the floors here, and he chose a certain kind of earth and a certain kind of rock to put in here to make it look like it does here. And they actually had a little pile of the earth and they had a pile of rocks, and he was mixing it. And he was on his hands and knees doing this. It's one of his videos, Jill, Instagram videos.
Yeah, I've seen it.
People are astounded by this. And our house is called. This was designed and then handcrafted. That's all joinery. Handcrafted by the carpenters. It was designed by Jeff and handcrafted, but as a kind of a, I don't know, porous entry to the kitchen. And you can bring your groceries in and set them here and then step up. But people say, they don't do that kind of work anymore. Pretty sure they probably made this in the shop. But the other thing, Ben, was that he said we could put glass in this because the ginkan is not heated. And if you're going to be here in the winter, you could close the fusuma doors. If we put glass in here, it would keep it warmer over there. But the glass can always be put in, so we paused on that. These were the original doors here to the entryway. This was the original windows. All the doors and stuff in the tea room or chashitsu are original.
And the light in there is
Okay.
pretty groovy. Very different from the others, but also an antique.
Did I say that Jeff went around to antique stores for about 3 or 4 months, and every now and then he'd see, okay, there's one. I got it. I'll get that one. And then bragging again about his level of detail. When the lights came, the fixtures on top were plastic. And he threw away the plastic fixtures that came and went around to antique stores to get ceramic ones. We like our guy.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. All I'm about ready to just ask for questions, but apparently this is usually for a tea room. This curved entryway is usually in a tea room, but we wanted it here and we got it there, so it's quite lovely there. Oh, I want to show the tea room wall. This is one of the most extraordinary walls that was here, and the plasterers were going to, plaster over it because they said that's old, but unbelievable texture. And for me, quite fitting in a tea room, which is the word they use is rustic. But of course, for us, rustic is actually gorgeous. These are the locks. These are the locks on the windows and doors. You probably have made those, and then you probably lived with them, and Nate, you may have done them with things, but apparently this is old style. Every time, again, my Japanese friends see they go, "Oh, we used to have that when I grew up." I haven't seen that since then. It's like, I don't know any better. This is what they have here. These are brass, and it's how you lock this to that. So this would be the entryway to the, I've got it. When I'm sitting here in the evening, I want to have a little privacy in case people come by the path to step up into the tea room, but that's the opening to the tea room for the people, the guests to come in if you're serving. Well, I'm showing the kitchen. If you have questions or you want to see something else, let me know. The kitchen was actually half this size, where you see this beam. The kitchen was this side. And my experience of Japanese kitchens is they're pretty small and have a tiny little refrigerator and a tiny little sink, and it feels like you're in a boat, when I've ever been in a galley or a kitchen on a boat. But Jeff said, I assume you want a comfortable, nice kitchen. We're going to do that. So he doubled the size. That goes all the way to the roof. The tiles are just on the other side of that. And he featured the kind of black. And I forget which one of these things, but when these things came, some of them weren't black, and Jeff resurfaced them in black so that they all matched. Just that tastefulness of what you do. And the sun just streams in here in the evening. That's looking out toward the western side. Yeah, over toward the western side mountains, over that way. So this is the view from that I sit sometimes in the evening or come out here and just sit on the Ginkan. There's the vegetable garden next door. Like I said, there's a lot of these pocket gardens throughout Kyoto. Actually, you just go down the hill where all the stores are. There'll be an acre or half an acre of a garden right next to stores, and so some of them are just rice fields. So that's the view here. The toilet. Okay, so the toilet. So we're walking down to the toilet.
Just so they know we have one.
Oh yeah. He said, now when you're not there, make sure you put this little door on. That was original in the house, in the toilet. And then they have this for the weather and for when you're not there because it's open. And then the other thing I learned from the carpenter the other day was I was out here, he was working here, and I said, "Well, look at these patches." He said, "Oh yeah, that post was on its way out, but we didn't want to replace it." So I think he said he put 20 patches on here, Nate. Look at that. He chiseled that out. And he said, I had to go out and find wood that was similar color to put in. So he did these patches to patch the post and keep the old post. Oh, look at this patch. Kind of hexagonal he had to put in.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah, he said it was really kind of, the bugs were getting it, man. Their bugs were getting it. So here's our toilet.
It's its own
If
thing.
any of you, if you see the under the sink, the new thing under the sink. So here's the interior. Of course, they made these by hand. They made all the little things by hand so that when we're here and you want to have the air come back and forth and you can look out, you pull that out. you want to the more rocks? Just when you wash the toilet floor, the drains drain through the rocks in the floor. Um, and this was a standalone room that existed this size. But Jill said, "Where are we going to put the toilet paper?" And he said, "Oh, I could do a pop out." And it pops out of the back there. It's incredible what he did on the outside of the toilet paper holder, but also the inside. You want to tell the little story, Jill?
Oh, I just,
Is it
it's
worth
not,
it?
it's not a big deal. No, I just, I had that question. And so, like everything else, Jeff put it in the back of his mind. And while he was out exploring, looking for treasures, he found that set of doors and installed them to to hold the
Gold.
paper, to hold the toilet paper.
So he built the thing to match the doors, and he said you very seldom find them with the gold still intact. So we have gold covered doors for our toilet paper. Yeah,
Pretty cool.
very cool. Okay.